What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tomatolito Boxing Show, and thank you guys for all the continued love, the support, and for continuing to allow the show to grow. You guys continue to spread the word, continue to talk to your friends, your coworkers, family members, fellow boxing fans, what have you, and the show continues to grow, and I couldn't be more thankful. So thank you guys for that. I got to meet some pretty cool people out in San Diego. A couple people that actually recognized me from my Instagram page. So I continue guys to tell you guys, follow me on Instagram. That's where the show's page, the Tomatolito Boxing Show, is on Instagram. And I was out in San Diego. A couple people that actually recognized me, so that felt a little awkward because I'm usually behind the microphone. I'm not so much putting up YouTube videos, anything like that. I like to sit behind the microphone and analyze. More behind the scenes type thing. Nonetheless, it was pretty cool to have a couple people come up to me, a couple people talk to me about the fight, before it happened. I also got to take a picture with Alexis Rocha. I got to meet the great Beto Duran from Duran Sports, and I mean great truly, because it's amazing what he's been able to accomplish in the boxing world. And then to see him mobile and in full action there, running around left and right. As I was sitting there in the stands, I'm watching the fight, and I would see this man running left and right and just mobilizing, doing who knows what the hell he was doing, but he was definitely tasked with something. And whenever he's behind the microphone, he's always fun. He's a fun. He provides some fun commentary, a fun analyst to listen to, and he's very lighthearted, very easygoing, and very fun to listen to watch. So yes, it was awesome. It was awesome to have had a chance to meet him and take a picture with him. So yes, I was out in San Diego just a few days ago. It's Wednesday morning right now, and I waited a few days because I'm out in Pine Top, Lakeside, Arizona, up in the cabins, and it's been awesome. I'm not sure how loud this is gonna get, but you could hear the wind blowing here behind me. It's really cold, about 46 degrees. And I had to record this outside, do something a little bit different, grab some coffee, and I came out here just to enjoy nature, enjoy the beauty of the morning, and do a full recap. Again, it's Wednesday morning, and I say that because the lightweight division continues to mobilize, and I say that because there were fights out in Japan yesterday in which another one of the contenders in the lightweight division, within the lightweight division, in Masayoshi Nakatani, competed out in Japan Tuesday and lost to Tsuchiro Yoshino. He was stopped in worse fashion than he experienced against Loma or Teofimo Lopez. So we'll talk about that, but let's do a recap of the JOJO Diaz-William Zepeda fight, which I got a chance to attend on Saturday out in San Diego, and holy crap, what a hell of a fight that it was. It was a one-sided affair. It was a hell of a performance, and a performance to witness, to behold, to take in. Those of you that were watching it around the world on TV, you experienced one thing. Seeing that thing live was incredible. There's nothing better than seeing live boxing. If you have local events happening around your area, go support them. Go support those small promotional companies, support the small events. And if you have a big fight show up, and you're able to, you have the means, go ahead, head to a big event. You won't regret it. William Zepeda impressed. This was his big test. This was the big test of his career, and he impressed like no other. He passed the test with flying colors, an A+. This was a masterful class that he put on in imposing one's style onto an opponent. That was the class that Zepeda left. Not a masterful boxing class, not a masterful boxing lesson that he gave his opponent. He simply showed and displayed how one goes about imposing his style to an opponent and not letting up, not taking the foot off the gas, recognizing the moment. And he did. every second of it. He recognized his opportunity at hand. He recognized the opponent that was across the ring from him. He recognized how big of an opportunity this was for him and what it would do for his boxing future should he be victorious. He was not going to let anything go to the judges. He took matters into his own hands, and he took every bit of action, every bit of energy, every bit of effort to JOJO Diaz and came out victorious. Flawless victory for William Zepeda. If you listen to my recap episode, you'll recall that I saw JOJO Diaz, I had JOJO Diaz being the victor. I saw JOJO Diaz as the more refined boxer, which he is. I still stand by that, having competed in the Olympics for the Olympic team, for the U.S. Olympic team in years past. He's definitely more of a boxer. So whenever you have these classes of Mexican-American fighter versus Mexican fighter, you don't have that big Mexican-style phone booth type clash, but you have a boxer versus a slugger type matchup, which becomes intriguing whenever they clash or meet in the center of the ring or have those exchanges. I gave the power to JOJO Diaz, and the way that I analyzed the fight was JOJO Diaz had to weather the storm, the early onslaught of William Zepeda, set into his rhythm, find a rhythm, get a good pace going, establish his jab, and start boxing William Zepeda. Once he began boxing William Zepeda, I saw William Zepeda tiring out, continuing to push the action. JOJO Diaz, once weathered the storm, he would just get his rhythm, box Zepeda, and cruise to a victory. Of course, I mentioned the power. Whenever those clashes were to happen, and they eventually would because of the styles of these fighters, I leaned on the side of Diaz being able to catch the better of Zepeda in those clashes because he possesses a little more power than Zepeda, in my opinion. If you look at the 23 knockouts of Zepeda, they're not all power punches, and he's not a big power puncher. He's more of an accumulation puncher. He wears his opponents down, punches in bunches. He starts wearing his opponents down until he's able to either get them out on the stool or drop them and eventually take the opponent out, knock him out. That's how Zepeda functions. He's punches by accumulation, power by accumulation, damage by accumulation. And this is exactly what happened here on Saturday night. JOJO Diaz began with a high guard, began to weather the storm. Everything looked like it was going to plan. And I was sitting in the stands thinking I called this fight perfectly. Then round 2 happened. Then round 3 happened. And he wasn't letting his hands go. Every so often, JOJO would let his hands go, and he managed to hurt Zepeda. He actually managed to wobble Zepeda a couple times during the fight, and that's where the power came out, in my opinion, where I was like, holy crap, he's going to hurt him. And Zepeda would just bounce right back and throw another 3, 4 punches, 6 punches, what have you, at JOJO Diaz and continue pushing him back. JOJO Diaz never weathered the storm. He got caught in the storm and had no idea how to get out. He tried, and he tried valiantly several times throughout the night and wasn't able to do so. He got caught in the storm, managed to hurt Zepeda a couple times, but nothing of note where Zepeda would have been in danger of being dropped or being stopped. Zepeda came right back and imposed his style. The Mexican style won on Saturday night, and his stock goes completely through the roof. With such up-and-coming fighters and talent in the lightweight division lining up to be the next big dog and the next big challenge, like a Frank Martin, like a Michel Rivera, like William Zepeda now, Pitbull Cruz. William Zepeda just infiltrated himself into that class. We have the class of yesteryear. The 2 guys that come to know where they moved up. Miguel Berchelt moved up from 130, and Jamel Herring, who moved up from 130. Both of them were unsuccessful in their debuts at 135. You have your other up-and-coming prospect and an up-and-coming big name in Jamaine Ortiz, who we're about to jump into here shortly. you have a lot of talent. Then you have maybe the third row of the lightweight division, which happens to be Nakatila, Nakatani. You have your IBF mandatory, who's Gustavo Lemos. You have your Angel Fierros. These guys who are right there trying to make a name for themselves. They're in there. They're in that conversation. They're tough opposition for anybody who steps in the ring against them, and they're bound to get a big win over any of the big names on any given night. But more so than anything, they are exciting when they face each other. Frank Martin is a fight, maybe 2 fights away from just breaking into a household name, as is Michel Rivera. Michel Rivera is the, if you don't know who he is, you've more than likely seen him, as he looks similar to Muhammad Ali and sells the Muhammad Ali look very well, with the flat top, the clean flat top, and the white trunks with the black trim, and he kind of looks like Muhammad Ali at angles at times. Michel Rivera just stopped Joseph Adorno, or actually defeated Joseph Adorno not long ago. A Joseph Adorno who just went toe-to-toe with the Jamaine Ortiz, and Jamaine Ortiz was in the ring also Saturday night against Loma. So to close out, I wasn't completely wrong in the JOJO Diaz, but I will take the loss because I had the wrong victor. I had the wrong person pulling out the victory. I saw the fight going one way, and William Zepeda just proved that when you impose your will, when you fight with urgency, when you are willing to take matters into your own hands and not leave it to the judges, the amazing things that a boxer could do. And how amazing it is to see a boxer fight with such urgency, recognizing the moment and the importance of the moment and the opportunity at hand, versus those fights that we see that fighters hesitate to throw, and it comes to be a scoring nightmare for the judges, and a juggle at the end where it becomes a discussion as to who won, who didn't win. So that's what we had there. Congratulations to William Zepeda. Congratulations to Mexican boxing. And congratulations to the lightweight division, because you have another big dog and another big name coming up. Who would I like to see William Zepeda fight next? Absolutely Pitbull Cruz. Hands down. It has to be Pitbull Cruz. Imagine what that fight would do for both of them. Imagine what the fight would do for the lightweight division and what it would do for boxing in general. That's a fight of the year candidate, if not the sure shot fight of the year, if those two were to meet in the ring. Zepeda just broke records dating back to the days of Lamar Murphy. He broke records in the lightweight division for output, for jabs, for accuracy. William Zepeda broke lightweight records on Saturday in his fight against JOJO Diaz. Imagine what would happen with him and Pitbull Cruz. That would be a true phone booth, Mexican style, fan-friendly fight. That's who I'm calling for, William Zepeda to face. And hopefully you guys make this episode go viral and get in the ears of the right people so they can make this fight happen. Yes, PBC versus a Golden Boy co-promotion. It's doable. If they were in negotiations with Ryan Garcia and Pitbull at one point, it's very doable. So that was the San Diego experience, and what a hell of an experience it was. I got to meet Alexis Rocha, as I mentioned, and he was successful in the co-main event of the fight, and Areli Musino was also successful. You tell me what you think. That was a fight that I thought Musino would have taken the loss in that fight. I saw her losing in that fight, but she got the nod, she got the victory, and she got the title. Other than that, congratulations to her. I mean, hey, the judges saw it that way, and I'm not an official judge. I was just a spectator. The judges saw it that way, and I didn't see Musino winning, but congratulations to her. She got the title, and she moves on to bigger paydays, and bigger things in her career. Let's jump over, stay in the same division, and jump over to New York, because right around the same time as this fight was happening between Diaz and Zepeda, you have Lomachenko facing a young, hungry, good boxer in Jamaine Ortiz. If you go back to the recap episode of this fight, I saw Lomachenko in a multitude of scenarios where if Lomachenko came out and impressed like he did against Comey, like he did against Nakatani, then he would for sure be in a showdown with the gentleman who just announced that he will be competing at 135, former unified champ Shakur Stevenson, former unified 130-pound champ Shakur Stevenson. If Loma looked that good, that solid, I would surely see Bob Arum push for a Shakur Lomachenko fight. A big showdown, a big gate where both fighters, it would be a win-win for everybody, a win-win as far as gates, as far as paydays, as far as careers. Even whoever would take the loss, you would for sure have a fight stylistically that would potentially deem a rematch, unless it's a one-sided beating from one side or the other. But it would be a big, big fight to make. And even if Loma was to lose that fight because he's the older of the fighters, he would move on. He would potentially still have a shot at Devin Haney or whoever would be the champ around that time, because he's with Bob Arum. And if Devin Haney's still the champ, Bob Arum would push for it. Top Rank would push for giving Loma one shot before he calls it a day. Loma is the older of the fighters, which is crazy to think, but he is in the older class of the lightweight division now. If Loma looked bad, you would for sure, I would foresee that he would just get right into a fight with Devin Haney for Top Rank to be able to cash in on Lomachenko and Devin Haney before Loma loses to another up-and-coming fighter or has another questionable victory over an up-and-coming fighter. So that's how I saw the fight play out. And if Loma was to lose to a Jamaine Ortiz, then it would just be a payday. No title shot for him. Top Rank would negotiate the Shakur shot hands down, so Shakur would have a big name in his resume. Of course, saying that Shakur was to beat Loma. Everybody's able to have and allowed to have a down night. Fighters have it all the time. They have bad nights, and then they come back and bounce back and look amazing. Those sort of scenarios I painted out on the recap episode. Now, as far as the fight was going, I saw Lomachenko coming out victorious. I saw Lomachenko wearing Jamaine Ortiz down and stopping him. That didn't happen. A mixture of the scenarios presented themselves. Shakur Stevenson announced that he's going to be competing at 135 pounds, but has no set date yet, has no opponent yet, and he's calling for all the top dogs, for Loma, for Devin, for Gervonta. He's calling for everybody. Lomachenko performed great against Jamaine Ortiz and came out victorious in a 12-round decision. He was marked up. He was swelled up, and I believe he was marked up under his left eye, if I recall correctly, whereas Jamaine Ortiz had the opposite eye that had damage under his right eye. I may have the side of the faces wrong because it's been 3-4 days already removed, but I know that Loma had one of his eyes severely damaged, whereas Jamaine Ortiz had it not severely damaged, but there was a lot of swelling where the corner failed to properly utilize the inswell during the between rounds, and that eye continued to swell on Loma and maintained cut. For Ortiz, his eye was starting to shut. If it was Loma's right eye, I believe it was Ortiz's, I think it was Loma's right eye and Ortiz's right eye also. I'll have to go back and check that out. Nonetheless, Ortiz's eye looked like it was starting to shut. And if we're going to be honest, Jamaine Ortiz, in my opinion, was ahead of this fight. Jamaine Ortiz was ahead of the fight to open the fight, and he maintained control for the first 2 to 3 rounds, in my opinion. He looked like he is going to give trouble to anybody in this division. And the difference to the fight, in my opinion, was his inexperience. He's never been in deep waters. He hasn't fought a 12-round fight. I'm looking right now, if you hear me a little distracted, Yep. So it was Ortiz's left eye. It was Lomachenko's right eye that was cut and bruising, but it wasn't as much as in danger as Ortiz's left eye, which was nearly shut by the end of the night. Lomachenko comes out with a victory. I had a 2-fight victory or a 2-round victory for Lomachenko, and the 2 rounds that I had for Loma were the championship rounds, round 11, round 12, even round 10, but round 11, round 12, I thought that was the 2 rounds that he pulled out, and it was the inexperience of Jamaine Ortiz, in my opinion, which he's never fought a 12-round fight, let alone a 12-round fight at such a high level, and that's where the experience mattered. Lomachenko was able to pull out the fight. Jamaine Ortiz began to gas a little bit, punch himself out a little bit. Nonetheless, he was still he managed to throw some really good combinations down the stretch, enough so to be able to keep Lomachenko off rhythm. The keys for Ortiz during this fight were that he managed to circle the ring with Loma. When Loma usually utilizes this against other opponents, he circles the ring, gets out of the way, angles off, and peppers his opponents with power and accuracy. Well, Jamaine Ortiz managed to do this along with Loma, and that's how he kept throwing Lomachenko's rhythm off. He continued to keep him off pace, off rhythm, and managed to find success against Lomachenko. There's a combination of things that happen here. One, Lomachenko is starting to be the older class of the division, like a Linares, like a Comey, who's now exited and gone north, like a Pedraza, who's now exited and gone north to 140 as well. The Burchelts, the Herrings, that's the class that Loma's starting to be in, even JOJO Diaz at that. That's the class that he's starting to be in. He's the older class. There's a combination of things. Lomachenko is losing a step, and this new class is a step ahead of the traditional boxers that are up and coming. The new classes are starting to mix speed, footwork, and output, whereas traditionally you would have, even just a few years ago, you would have your traditional fighters stick to a style. If we look across on the other side of the country, the fight that I attended, you had the boxer versus the Mexican-style slugger in Zepeda. Jamaine Ortiz is a combination of all, and that's kind of your Teofimo Lopez fighter. I said it in the preview episode. If you think Jamaine Ortiz is the second coming of Teofimo Lopez, you're wrong. And I stand by that. I think Teofimo Lopez is a better boxer than Jamaine Ortiz, but Jamaine Ortiz is high level, and as high level as it comes. The other thing that helped Jamaine Ortiz is the fact that he had 5 weeks of experience sparring with Lomachenko, so he was familiar with a lot of the movement that Lomachenko possessed and the problems that he would pose. Jamaine Ortiz's stock is sky high, even though he came short of a decision victory, and he came on with a decision loss to Lomachenko. His stock has skyrocketed, and he is going to be a name to be reckoned with in the lightweight division. I would love to see Jamaine Ortiz take on a Michel Rivera or a Frank Martin, those fighters that are coming up, and I would love to see Zepeda against a Pitbull Cruz. Jamaine Ortiz, anybody who he's in there with, he doesn't need any more light work. He doesn't need any more tune-up fights. He needs to get in there with the top and start eliminating those that are up and coming, so he could become one of the top dogs in the lightweight division. Jamaine Ortiz and a Frank Martin, Jamaine Ortiz with a Michel Rivera, even a Gustavo Lemos and Angel Fierro, those fighters who are up and coming right now with good records. Jamaine Ortiz needs to get in the ring with them, and he's there. He belongs in those, and very shortly he'll be having a title shot. I see within the year and a half, if he continues in this path, he'll have a title shot, hands down. Even a George Kambosos, who's coming off a loss, back-to-back losses to Devin Haney. Kambosos and Jamaine Ortiz would be all action and an amazing fight at that. So I leave you guys with that. It was an amazing weekend for boxing. Katie Taylor also successful in her title defense against Carabajal, and then Jake Paul out in Phoenix. He successfully defeated Anderson Silva, dropped, and got the decision nod over him. So Jake Paul continues his ascension in the professional boxing world and continues to put asses in seats and bringing big money to those live gates. Aside from that, he's a good promoter, not just a self-promoter, but he's a good promoter with MVP promotions. And I mentioned that because I just mentioned Katie Taylor, who was successful, and he's going to put the promotional hat once again and start negotiating with Eddie Hearn the rematch between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, which should take place at Croke Park in Ireland. Negotiations should start taking place in these next few days and coming weeks, and he's made Amanda Serrano a household name and the deserving money that she was longing for, because with such a legendary career and making a few $1,000s versus the millions that she's now made, that was all thanks to Jake Paul and MVP Promotions. Aside from that, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano helped pave the way just months down the line for what was an all-out, all-women card and a higher payday. It opened the imaginations of the boxing world, of the boxing promoters and the boxing fan base and the wallets, because it made for an even more eventful night when Claressa Shields faced Savannah Marshall a few weeks back with the co-main of Mayer and Baumgartner. That was all thanks to Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, in my opinion. So Jake Paul has a part in that. Whatever you think of his professional boxing career, none of it has been at an official weight class. All of them have been catchweight fights. All of them are boxing entertainment. Nonetheless, he is a professional boxer, and once he fights at an official weight class with an officially ranked fighter in whatever weight class he chooses, whether it be at light heavyweight or cruiserweight, then I think the notoriety and the legitimacy of Jake Paul's career, boxing career, will set in. Until then, you can't deny his effect in the boxing world. He's attracted a lot of fan base to the boxing world, and he's doing his thing. Hate him or not, he's doing his thing, and he's a hell of a promoter. So, which is good for boxing in itself. So I leave you guys with that. Thank you for all the support, for all the love you guys showed me out in San Diego. Thank you guys for assisting the show and helping the show continue to grow. And you continue to download the episodes and continue to spread the word, and I'll continue to put these episodes out for you guys and continue to cover the sport that we all love so much. Thank you guys. Love you. Take care of yourselves from Pine Top, Lakeside, Arizona. I'll be back in my normal grounds here in a few days' time. And we'll do a preview of Zurdo and Bivol, which is coming up later this weekend, or this coming weekend. So thank you guys again. Much love. Salud. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one.